Hello, welcome back to Pages into the Past. Today we are working on the truly Victorian TV499 1890s vest. Only we're going to make this history bounding, so I'm not making this to wear a corset underneath. That being said, I probably will not be putting darts in this until after I've got the fitting done. I'm going to make a mock-up, and based on measurements, I do have to add an inch in length, and on the front, I do have to add some extra inches so that I can wear it without a corset and just a standard bra. So, first thing that I did is I printed out my pattern instead of ordering it. It was about $4 cheaper. It does cost me paper, ink, and time, but I was able to get it right away. Second thing I did is I taped everything together. Then I took the measurements and said, oh, you are going to have to add. So, now I have to add in length. The best way I found to do that is I have some gridded paper. On my gridded paper, let me see if I can zoom in. You can barely see these lines, but there are lines here. And so what I'm doing is I'm cutting out sections of gridded paper. Because I'm adding an inch in length, I'm cutting out 3 inches at a time. And so the best way I found to do that is I'm taking my width of my pattern, and I have drawn a line on all my pieces to line up in the same area, just slightly above these marks. Unfortunately, the angle takes it directly through these 3 marks, but I think I'll be able to work with that because I'm aware of it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, and I will measure out my 3 inches, my 3 squares for my length, and I will end it here. Cut this, tape it together. So I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's done. I went ahead and taped it back down. What I'll do is I'll trim this up a little bit here, and this will be my back lining that has been added, the extra length. I'm going to do this to all of my pieces. When that's all done, I still have to add to my front pieces, and so I will remeasure just to make sure how much I need to add. Remember to divide that by 2 because you have a left side and a right side when you're adding width, not length. The other thing that a lot of times people say or ask questions on is what happens if this line and this line don't meet, even though we have these ones the same and we have them spaced apart. What you're going to do is you're just going to blend them. So when you're taking your line, you just kind of blend it a little bit. It's not going to add a whole lot of extra width or length to anything, you know. So when you have your, say your dart lines here, you want to try to keep those fairly same position, but you're going to have to alter them just a little bit. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference when you are sewing it, especially if you end up adding 2 or 3 inches in length. You're just going to blend those lines together. Don't panic over it, just it'll work out, trust me. Okay, so I just remeasured everything, and what I did is I took a measurement from the shoulder to where this 1-inch line is, and that's right below my bust line. And so I measured this across here, and that might be a little tight, but this measurement down here, without putting the dart in, seems to fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mock-up to begin with of only adding the inch in length and adding no extra width to see where I need to add extra. If I need to increase this dart, not do the dart, see if I need to expand just a little bit here in the bust area. That's part of the fitting process. So I think what I'm going to do is just add the length and no width at this point in time. Alright you guys, so here's the mock-up. No darts, no width adjustments, and as you can see, I have extra room. This piece here is an additional piece that's sewn on so that your center seam stays straight. There's a little bit of bunching here. I don't know if it's from the blouse, but I'm assuming that once I get it turned through, those will go away, or I might have to lift the shoulder just a bit. Here's the back. You can see there's still room. If I do any darts, they're going to be very minimal because I don't want this super, super tight, but I do want it a little bit more form-fitting, so I might do just a couple of small darts here just to kind of bring the curve in. here a little bit without too much pulling. And I probably won't do any darts in the back. That remains to be seen. So this is just muslin, and the first mock-up, this is after I added an inch, and you can see the inside piece here. So there will be hooks here on the back side of the buttons here that hook here, and then buttons over here that hold it in place there. So, not bad. I mean, it's cotton muslin, so I'm going to use a piece of printed denim for my jacket. So, first attempt looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I don't think I need to add any extra inches. I think when I was adding extra inches, I was a little bit more concerned about this having to cross over possibly, but it doesn't. So, yay! All right, keep sewing. All right, so we have started on our vest, and when you look at some of the pieces, the pattern pieces, this one here says cut to a fabric. It's really important to go back and double check the directions, your cutting layout and such, because it also calls for 2 interlining. So here is the interlining, which I have sewn to the fabric piece. This is not the lining, but an interlining. And the difference is that the interlining does not go all the way through, but it helps support the main piece as an extra layer. Now the directions also said interlining could be broadcloth, heavyweight interfacing, or pocket lining. So because this main fabric is more of a canvas, I went with a lighter cotton just to help give some body. This will also have the lining sewed to it, so you're going to have a secondary piece, same fabric. The back will have a lining piece after the interlining, because I've already sewn the interlining, but it also has lining for it. So just double check your directions to make sure you know what pieces have interlining. And then what you do is you sew it slightly smaller seam. If your seam allowance is 1/2 inch, then you're going to sew it at like 3/8, so that it will be slightly to the inside of your seam. And then if you choose to go ahead and finish your seams now, remember they will be encased in full lining. I'm going to leave my seams the way they are. There's not a lot of fray going on, and I'm running out of time before costume college. So this video will probably air post costume college, and I'm hoping to have it for the COSY symposium, the costuming symposium that's online. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a look around. Most of my stuff is for plus size, and a lot of times I do a little bit of alterations because I carry all my weight in my belly. So welcome to all my new people, and thanks for sticking around to all my existing ongoing people. Let's get the ball rolling. So I started working on the vest, and the directions are pretty easy. There's not a whole lot of pictures. Right now I'm at the collars, and I have sewn the top and bottom collar pieces together, and then it asked you to fold the unlined side to the inside, press and top stitch, and I did a little tiny top stitch here. And at this point in time I'm attaching the collar, and so this is where I think in some of the notes or things that I've read online where people had a little bit of problem. And the reason they're having a problem is because the collar piece here is a little bit shorter on the collar itself than the lapel piece. The lapel piece is about 3/4 to an inch longer than the collar piece, and so we're only going to sew up to this point on each side, leaving the neck piece free. The neck piece will be attached at a later point. We are adding lining. The lining will come up here and attach up here. So right now we are just stitching away. I'm a couple days behind where I wanted to be. Life, family. I got caught on a couple email, Zoom call type phone calls, and So now I get to play catch up. Oh, there's my clock. I think my clock's telling me to hurry up. So I'm going to get this stitched down. The next step is to do the lining. And then when we get the lining done, I will show you how that attaches at the collar there. And we'll see what we can do. Hopefully, today or tomorrow, I can get this vest done because I have some serious packing to do. And so now we're at the part in the lining where, depending on which view that you have chosen to do, depends on what the next step is. So this part would be where you would leave off if you were doing the center closure and not the double-breasted. But because I'm doing the double-breasted, I will be adding this piece over here to extend that front for the underlay and overlay on the vest. Hey everybody! I just wanted to show you that when you get the fronts and backs sewn together, it tells you to turn it through. And the best way to do that, especially when it says pull through from one of the seams, I usually go in from the side back and I will put my hand all the way through to the front vest part to pull that through the shoulder seam. And the reason I do that is because then you can get it turned properly and not have to fight as much. Alright, so problem number 1. I am having a hard time trying to figure out how this open neck piece connects. And so once you've got it turned through, it's still separated. And it says here, vest with collars, match the back area of the collar to the neckline so that it lays smoothly, top stitch through all layers. And I was like, okay, I still don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And then I went to the Truly Victorian Sewists group. She's got a link there, and one of her responses was after sewing the collar to the lining and you turn it right side out, baste the neck edge of the collar and lining together so they match, but not so that the collar lays flat. When you sew the collar to the front, push. I thought it was a little bit clearer than that. I'm still very confused. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to baste the lining and the back together. Then when that's done, I'm going to fold this over so that my stitching lines will match. And then it says to top stitch it down, so then I will top stitch it down from the shoulder seam to shoulder seam to kind of hold it in place there. And then the rest of this collar will kind of curve over from that point. I'm hoping that's what she meant. Otherwise, me and my seam ripper will have a date. So I think I'm gonna do that and cross my fingers. Hopefully it's right. Okay, so I top stitched it down from the shoulder seam to shoulder seam, and it doesn't look too bad. It looks like it'll hold it in place and keep too much of the collar from rolling elsewhere. So not my favorite way to do a collar, but I think for now it'll do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press all my seams and all my edges before I sew up the side seams, and then I'll sew up the side seams and determine whether or not I need to add any darts. And if I need to add darts, I'll take out the side seams possibly, or just take the lining part and just do a dart through all layers because they won't be big. There wasn't a whole lot of issue for darts, so I'll wait till after I get it all pressed and the side seams done and see what I need to do, and maybe I'll even get the buttons added before I do that. So alright, so hopefully the next time that we are chit-chatting here, it'll be tomorrow here, and hopefully I can get this finished by tomorrow afternoon because I have to pack. Costume College is coming up. This video won't come out until after Costume College is completed, but I might be able to, at least on my Instagram page, under Pages into the Past, get some video or some pictures of some of the outfits that I've worn for Costume College, and hopefully I can do a video on what Costume College is, just in case you're interested. Sewing buttonholes. Woohoo! Hey everybody, this is the completed outfit. So it's a little big. What I can do is here and here On the inside I can add a dart. If I add the dart, it'll give me a little bit more flare here. See across the back, I don't know if I'm going to add any darts here because I'm going to pull it in here so that it gives me a little bit more front definition. And I might close up this seam here underneath the armpit. It's like a big old wing going out there, just to make it a little bit closer fitting there. Because yeah, there's a couple inches there that could come in. So remember, this is history bounding, no corset, just a standard bra, and some of my outfit. Ta-da! La-la. So here you go. This is the vest. Fairly simple to make. Well, here's the vest. Had a couple problems. If you have a problem with something that doesn't make sense, feel free to email the maker of the pattern. I had 2 issues with this pattern. There were dots in the shoulders of the lining and dots at where they connected into were missing on the lining, and so I emailed her and we were able to get that all figured out. I used alternate pieces, but now she can go back onto her pattern and make sure that they're carried through. This was a download pattern. So what do y'all think? How's that for history bounding? I have my skirt on. So what I'll do is I'll do a couple of photos for you so you can see the full thing at the end. And thanks for watching. Don't forget, subscribe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.